My name is Nicole. I am the English director, so that means I run the English camp at MWS. I'm in charge of overseeing the senior camp, the senior part of the camp, as well as the junior intermediate sections, so making sure things run smoothly, sometimes stepping in where needed as a counselor myself. But it's so far been really, really nice. I think any kind of camp can seem super formal online. I think anything when it's presented in a website format seems like, oh, this is very, very like scheduled, it's very crisp and clean. And I love the fact that camp is just never those things. It's always blurry because it's so much fun and you're enjoying yourself. It's not just a job. Like, we live here as counselors, so you live your job to a certain extent, but it's more than just working with children or working with teenagers. It's having fun, getting to meet them, getting to build connections, and I think that's the part that you can't exactly show online on the internet. That's what you actually have to come here for and figure out for yourself. And to me, that's like the most worthwhile part of my job. I think for me, the biggest challenge is how to lead a group of 50 plus campers anywhere. Making sure that you can feel comfortable being accountable for everyone, that you can feel that you can trust your staff, and making sure at the end of the day that campers are enjoying themselves. I think it's super easy to get caught up in a job mentality, so you're always double checking the safety, security, travel times, but you're forgetting to engage with people. So I think the hardest part is just balancing those things and making sure that at the end of the day, kids are walking away from this camp knowing they want to return.
And what do we do at this camp?
We do everything. I think from as far as I understand it, we're a camp that travels to different places, make sure like kids enjoy activities. So we've been to trampoline parks, we've been to amusement parks, we've been to parks just to like have a beach day, have like a relaxing swimming day. I think it's just about creating memories with other campers in general and walking away from your summer knowing that you enjoyed the most. And I think ultimately all of that can help what we're really after, which is our main purpose is to teach and improve the language use of all our campers. So for me, it's the English side of things. So I'm making sure that our campers are speaking and practicing as much English. I tell them every day, it's not about how well you speak, it's about how much you try. And we reward them. We have little prizes. We have a ticket system. They can cash them in for little gifts. And that's what kids love. They love working towards those things. And I think that at the end of the day is our goal. It's not as conscious with campers as they think, but every day if we're helping them to practice more and more to speak English, they're getting better without even trying. So I think that comes with Montreal being not officially bilingual, but colloquially just bilingual as it is. So we have a French majority, but I think people send their campers here because they want them to be able to practice and better their English. But simultaneously, we have the French camp who takes in English speakers so that they can better their French here. And I think it makes sense that Montreal is one of the best places to practice your French, and it is one of the best places to be able to come in here speaking French, feel comfortable, and continue feeling comfortable in the city. But in addition to that, learn a new language, which would be English. I think the city itself works extremely well for French in that sense because you don't have to feel entirely dependent on only speaking English if, let's say, there's an emergency, but it is super easy to go around and see that people understand both.
Okay.
Montreal is bilingual by nature, so I think that when you go out, when we do an activity, it's super easy for kids to feel like, okay, if I don't speak English, I can't do anything here. What happens if I don't feel comfortable? What happens if I don't know how to say something? And I think being in Montreal specifically benefits those kind of situations because you can slip into French a little bit and kids can feel comfortable, just going back to their mother tongue. But it's not a sort of dependency in that case. That's where I think this camp benefits more because we can be bilingual. You won't hire necessarily French-speaking or even bilingual counselors all the time. And I think that's actually a nice thing if you're forcing kids to practice English. But the city itself and its professionals, its employees, everywhere you go, like you're meeting people who speak both. And you'll see if we go somewhere and they'll start in French, obviously. But if you say, hey, we're in English camp, it's extremely nice to have someone be like, oh, let me help you. And they continue the rest of the program in English. And I think that's something that Toronto can't offer. That's something that I don't know. I actually have no idea what other city can offer that. I think Montreal is the best place for things like that. On a normal day, my day starts at 7 o'clock. I wake up some campers, we go to breakfast together for 8 o'clock. We come back, we've got an hour to get ready to hang out, usually play games in the quad. This is the quad. And then we get ready to go on our activity in the morning, and then we have lunch, and then we have class in the afternoon after lunch. Basically, if you don't have class in the afternoon, you have it in the morning, so the schedule can switch just to change things up per week. But an activity entails going out. We're probably going to take public transportation, so the metro, a bus, or walk if it's close by. And we're just going to enjoy ourselves. It's usually in groups, so the seniors will do their own thing. Junior intermediates will do their own thing as well. And at the end, we meet all back for lunch together. When we have lunch, it'll be in the dining hall, which is on campus. And then we come back, we have class, so then that's where counselors and campers actually separate, and that's for language learning. They come back, we eat dinner together, and then anyone who stays in residence will go out in the evening, while anyone who's a day camper will go home at 5 o'clock. But the evening activities are really worth it as well, because that's where you bond with a lot of your floor mates, roommates. And then at the end of the day, we're going to sleep probably around 9:30 for junior intermediates and around 11 o'clock for seniors. I think the chill activities are where the magic happens. It sounds weird, but it's easy to go and do something, meet a tour guide, have a scheduled appointment somewhere, and then let your campers enjoy that. But I think it's more special to actually, as a counselor, be able to engage with people, and it's up to you to make the program for the day. It's up to you to plan an activity, make sure campers enjoy it, and if not, I think it's about engaging with people, having those silly moments where you have time to just relax and sit on the grass, play cards if you need to, but also do things as a group and get to know one another more personally.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing. I didn't think that coming to a new city and getting to explore as much as I did would be so rewarding, truly. But I think it's me. I'm coming from Toronto, exploring a new city at the same time with my campers is what has been super nice. And as a counselor, you're not really thinking about how big such a small action can make for a single person. But it's those things, it's the little moment where you say, hey, do you want a Band-Aid? Let's go get a Band-Aid together. Or, hey, you know what? Let's just go sit on the picnic bench and chat for a little bit. It's like the smallest things that make the biggest impacts for kids who are between 7 and 13, kids who are between 14 and 17. It's so nice to, at the end of camp, like, be covered in tears because you realize how much you're gonna miss people. And if you love working with kids, if you love working with teenagers, if you like being social and enjoying activities and kind of being on the more organized side of things, I think this is the place for you. I think that's what camp is all about, and I think of all camps, like, we do the most here. I know that we do so many activities, it's not even possible to compare in other cities, but that's my favorite part. You're busy and you have no regrets about like the intensities that you're doing because everything is working towards like having a better relationship with campers, with your fellow counselors, with directors. And I think the nice thing about being in Montreal specifically is that we are a smaller group than Toronto. You actually can get to know people on a nicer, like more intimate level if you want. And those are the kind of things that I'm gonna walk away with at the end of the summer. I'm gonna have better relationships with people. I'm gonna be able to network, but more importantly, like I'm gonna feel like I have friends in different cities and I know people in different places across the world because our campers are international. So this job is for people who really enjoy organization and who are at the same time totally comfortable with throwing it out the door. I think it's super fun to be organized and on top of everything and plan things, but at the end of the day, we're a camp and we're about being flexible, we're about being adaptable, taking in situations and making the best out of them in every single instance we're here. So we have a schedule, we're gonna stick to it, but if someone's not enjoying it, we're gonna make sure that they have a good time. And I think it's for people who really like adapting to situations like that, who really like going with the flow, rolling with the punches. And I think those are the people who are gonna benefit the most from this job as well. Because camp in its nature lacks a sort of structure, but with the amount of things that we do, scheduling is important. So if you can balance those two, you're set.
Cool.
It's so interesting. The first day will always be kind of the toughest day because everyone's new. You're new, campers are new, and it's about breaking down those barriers. Sometimes they're language barriers, sometimes they're social barriers, and trying to just engage make people feel more comfortable, make people feel like camp is natural, because camp is already this weird kind of space outside of society and yet within it. But after that first few days, you realize people will feel more comfortable. Suddenly they'll start speaking Spanish. Suddenly they'll start speaking French. Suddenly English is there, and that's the best part, when you realize all the languages are coming out and people are feeling more and more comfortable practicing with you. I think there's a level of intimidation when you start to learn any language, but being immersed is one of the best parts, because you get to make the most out of it. Your counselors will speak to you in English. They'll still understand sometimes your French, but it's amazing to see the growth that people take after even 1 week. We had a junior camper who came here speaking straight Portuguese, and by the end we were speaking only in English. And that's not to say that she learned English perfectly in 1 week, but it is to say that she felt more comfortable. She felt like she could open up and practice and allow for room for mistakes, for things like that. And I think those are the most rewarding parts of my job.